Ah, I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and this is another flying solo podcast. Just me. Darth Austin has the week off. He's been putting in a bunch of OT overtime at his job, and unfortunately, that's ate up most of his time. We hadn't really been able to get together. But we will continue normally scheduled programming as soon as we can. Just been a lot going on this week, really. It's been, I don't know about you guys, but I know I've had a stressful week at work, and I'm sure the Dark Lord of the Sith has as well. So again, we'll get back to it like normal. Just as a quick reminder, folks, if any of you have not went over to the Facebook page, make sure to go over there and just hit the old like button for us. Darth Austin largely, messes with social media. I'm not really one for that personally, but you can get your weekly dose of memes as well as news as we have it, and a couple of Q&A type deals over there. You can also message us there. We'd like to hear your Star Wars story. We'd like to hear what got you into all of this, be it your favorite book, a favorite movie, anything and everything. You can hit us up there and we can read your story on the podcast if you'd like. Or if you've got a little bit more long form, you can send it to the email. That's tcplanpodcast@gmail.com. And make sure to just rate us 5 stars wherever you're listening to us, I guess, on whatever podcasting medium you are, or leave a comment or whatever. Leave all your negative comments on YouTube, though. I think that's actually been a tagline for a lot of people here. The ratings unfortunately matter, but if you'd like to rate us, please do that. And you can also check us out on patreon.com. If you'd like to just support the podcast, it's a good place to do it. We have our Dinner with the Patron series where we just sit down and eat a meal, have random conversations, just a little bit of extra content for the supporters of the show. So thank you guys very, very much. But I'm kind of hoping to get through this week pretty quickly. If truth be told, I've got a backpacking trip this weekend. Heading down about 2.5, maybe 2.5 hours from here. Do a little, I think it's like 10, 11 mile trek. Do a little overnight camping, and that should be a lot of fun. Like to get back out in the woods and wash away some of the stink of the past couple work weeks. Because I don't know about you, but the past couple work weeks have just been a little bit trying. But all that aside, again, Flying Solo Podcast, I have a couple of topics that I thought would be fun to go over, a couple of, newsworthy items that we have been cycling through here in the past week or so. So, first topic here, let's talk Knights of the Old Republic. So, the Knights of the Old Republic was a video game from 2003. And it was set, 4,000 years before the current, Galactic Republic. And basically focused around, the Sith had gained a lot of power, being led by Darth Malak, who was Darth Revan's apprentice. And, if any of you have read the Revan book, you kind of get a little bit more into that relationship. Revan and his apprentice, they were Jedi, and they were fighting war, and they wound up going to the Sith homeworld and were essentially turned by the Emperor. And at that point, Revan had launched this attack. Well, eventually Malak, felt fit to take over the reins. So he fired on Revan's ship, and thinking he'd killed him. Well, the interesting thing is Revan was not killed. He was eventually, I don't want to say brainwashed, but his memories were altered by the Jedi Council, and that's where this story kind of starts. If you're talking about like, quote, how the game should be played, not really. I mean, just if we're talking about like establishing a canon, it would be a male player, but you can also choose a female player, I believe, in this as well. But you are on here on a ship. You wind up getting off the ship, and essentially, you fight some Sith, blah, 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 blah. It's been a while since I played this game. I actually recently bought it, and I think I have it on the Mac. It was like, I don't know, $1.99 or $2.99 for a while. So that, along with Empire at War. I also got Empire at War. Oh, I think both Knights of the Old Republic were cheap at that time, because I think I got 3 Star Wars games. And anyway, like I said, been a while since I played it, but essentially through the plot, you do wind up realizing that you are Revan. Also have Revan's eventual wife, Bastila Shan, who would be awesome to bring into the forefront, or bring into canon. But so let's see here. I wrote down who is supposedly writing this. Wow, I wrote this down. I think I tried to pronounce it a few times. I needed Darth here to help me pronounce stuff. Laeta, Lita. I'm just going to call her Lita. Kalogridis. I'm sure most of you are probably raking out your eardrums or something at the pronunciation, but I believe she had done some stuff with Altered Carbon on Netflix, and then I'm forgetting the name, but it was that Battle Angel thing. I haven't watched either of them, so I'm not very well acquainted, but I from my understanding, they seem to have been rated pretty reasonably. So seems like a decent enough choice, but again, adaptions of video games into movie form. I mean, we've kind of seen some. Yeah, I mean, like, what did they did like a Final Fantasy? I don't even remember how that went. I just remember I didn't really like it. Doom, Resident Evil wasn't too bad, but I really like Mila Jovovich. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's interesting, but here's the interesting point. Will this be a movie, or could it be a series, like a TV series? And how closely will it follow the game? That's the big thing, because I think you can do a cinematic of the game, but if I'm remembering correctly, at the end of that game, you can actually choose a dark side or a light side path. So if you choose the dark side path, essentially, you deal with Malak, and then you are the new Dark Lord of the Sith, or you can turn to the light, which, I mean, is essentially more in line with what we have now in the story of Revan. Derp. So, that's what it would be, but there's going to be a camp of people that's going to think about this and say, okay, so, but are they going to do a twist and then do something else? I don't know. I think it is certainly possible that, it could be a TV show. See, here's my thing. I think that Disney is a little skittish about doing standalone or character-based movies after Solo. I love Solo. I know a lot of people that love Solo. The Darth, I think that's in his top 3. But the box office was not what they were hoping for. Because, Rogue One did $1 billion, right? And Solo, I think it was still below $400 million. So, although that did put them above their stated production costs, more than likely with, some of the other stuff that went on, it probably didn't cover all their costs. Now, that's a box office number. That's not really taking into account merchandise. I think it was, I'd have to look it back up. I feel like it was like $395 million, but I could be wrong. But, merchandise and DVD, Blu-ray sales and so on and so forth. So I'm sure that number is a little bit higher. I don't know. I'm not into that. But my thing is that after that, I do think it put a little bit of the fear of God into Disney and Lucasfilms as to should we be doing more standalones? Because the big thing we were all hearing about a Boba Fett movie, which, of course, really has PO'd a lot of people because it's like, what does everybody want right now? Give me Kenobi or give me death, And it's tough because I don't think that this, if this Knights of the Old Republic is actually going to come to fruition and we're going to have a movie, I highly, highly doubt it's going to be cinematic, like a cinematic release, like a widescreen release. I feel like the only thing it could be is on Disney Plus. Now, that puts into effect, will it be live action or will it be animated? And I don't know that I've read anything around, what it could be. If it's going to come, is it going to be live action or is it going to be animation? So here's my thought process. I personally think it might be animated, and it would just be a release on Disney Plus. I would love to have a live action Revan movie, or Knights of the Old Republic. It's not just Revan, whatever. It's Revan. But a couple things. So again, this video game was from 2003. We're talking 16 years ago. That's a significant amount of time. And again, when you look at this series of movies we're getting now, so Force Awakens, Last Jedi, these movies were geared towards the youth of today. And the youth of today is very different from my youth. My youth, technology was just starting to get going. I still remember rotary dial phones, black and white TV. We had a black and white TV for a while. I remember having a color TV set, and this might have been just in my small town, and as to why this was, but anyway, blah 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 blah. But I do remember black and white. I remember rotary dial. I remember, not really having anything, like technology wise. I think the first color TV we had was something like, I don't know, I want to say like a 15-inch or something like that. And like 19 inches was considered huge. I remember getting a VCR and thinking this was like the coolest thing alive. I remember when Game Boy came out. And Game Boy, I was like, whoa, look at this. This is the greatest thing alive. My sister bought it for me, this big old gray block, and it was the coolest thing alive. I remember the Sega Game Gear. My mom for Christmas bought me a Sega Game Gear, and I have a 2x2 screen that's in color. I'm playing Sonic, man, and Judge Dredd. So technology actually rose pretty steadily when I was a kid. I remember in school, we didn't really do anything with computers until later, and then it was like early Macs. And obviously, as I got more advanced, junior high, high school, we had all the computers, but not anything close to what these kids have today. My roundabout, rambly point here is that the youth of today is just, it's very different. It's a very different way of growing up. There's a lot of instant gratification there. There's a little bit faster way of thinking. There's a lot more access to information. So the Star Wars movies have been geared towards this generation of kids because it's a kids movie. And if you can't see that, that's a problem. But it's a kids movie. So again, when you look at a game from 2013, okay, or 2003, I would have, what was I, in high school at that point? Or something of that nature? Yeah. So the kids today would look at that game and say, oh, this isn't anything. If you're talking about like some real gamers and they could see the plot and the play and it being an amazing role play game, then they might understand and be sympathetic to it. But, graphically, again, that can turn people off. There are games out today. I just watched a trailer I don't remember what the heck the game was called, but it had Norman Reedus in it. And like there was something about like babies. It was the strangest flipping thing. It looks super real though. The games are looking so real nowadays that, you know, I don't know. I just don't know. And the whole thing is that, again, the Star Wars media that's coming out now is new. It's new characters. And these are characters that the Star Wars fanatics, the Star Wars faithful will know and will just, you know, absolutely gravitate towards. But it's gonna take some work to get them into the youth, in my opinion, and they might take to them. I don't know, but I think it's an interesting premise. I think it's a very interesting an existing media that could be transformed. I just don't know how it's going to come about, and if it's truly going to come about, because that's the thing. This could all be hearsay. It could just be way too early speculation, and we might not get anything. But I would love to see it. I just think that at the end of the day, will it be? It's probably not going to be cinematically released. Probably Disney Plus. I tend to think maybe animated. I know a lot of people out there maybe we should alter the animation style and not make it so like Clone Wars or something. Because although I don't really mind the animation style of like Clone Wars or Resistance of Rebels or whatever, I know that there's some people out there who do. So I don't know. It should be interesting, but yeah. Hey, if you guys got an opinion about a Knights of the Old Republic movie, let us know. Let us know, and we'll be more than happy to discuss it further. So, moving on to another quote movie topic, I was on Facebook and I found this picture, and it's 6 frames. So choose one movie to be made. So we have Boba Fett, Yoda, Maul, Darth Maul, Vader, Revan, or Kenobi. And it was funny because I saw this picture and then I was, playing around on YouTube, and then an old video pops up, and I made a note: Heroes Fan Productions. Heroes Fan Productions. These guys, they make some really amazing videos. And I remember watching this one a long time ago, simply titled Kenobi. It's got over 1 million views on it. And I found myself just so entranced in this fan-made piece of art. What story do you want to see? Do you want to see a Boba Fett movie? No, I'm not interested in that. Do you want to see like young Yoda? I don't know about that. That could be very interesting. It really, really could be interesting. I just don't know. A Darth Maul story, I'm personally not interested. I think he's been in enough. I do think we need a Solo 2 so that we can kind of get a little bit more into that, but we'll see. Vader. I'm not really sure how this one even get. What more do you want, honestly? I guess the only interesting thing I could see in that would be like, the Vader comics that started in 2017. Now that would kind of be an interesting thing, because like those sort of chronicle his time between, so he's already lost Obi-Wan and he gets the armor, and like one of my favorite series of panels in that was when I can't remember the Jedi's name he encountered, but essentially Palpatine sends him out on a mission to capture Kyber crystal so that he can corrupt it and make his own saber, right? And that whole deal, and then when he goes to corrupt the crystal fights back, and it shows him an alternate version where, he he says no to the Emperor and he kills him. And then he goes back to Obi-Wan. He's like, Master, that could be interesting. I could see that being, like come to fruition. I also would say that feels like it would be an animated though. The next one, Revan. Obviously, we've already kind of talked about Knights of the Old Republic, but I mean, if I had a Revan book or a Revan movie based upon the Revan book, that would be super cool, because that actually, after he's kind of, he's been broken, he's been built back up, he's married. I think that would be cool. That'd be a very, very cool thing to run through. But let's be honest. Cough break. Let's be honest here. What does everybody want? Kenobi. I mean, come on. This is something that people have been clamoring for years. And I know a lot of people say, well, what would you go over? Listen, he spent how many years on Tatooine when he drops Luke off? What did he do? That's what I want to know. What did he do? Because he didn't just stay there in the desert the entire time. Come on, he's doing stuff. That's the story that I want to see. I want to see more Kenobi, because Obi-Wan Kenobi is probably one of the most interesting characters. And the more media I've devoured of his, and most notably Master and Apprentice, and then the going forward, the more interested I become, I get into that subject. Ewan McGregor is still in a good age spot where he could play this Jedi. And I want to see this guy, maybe he goes out on some adventures and then comes back and he checks on Luke and he's in the distance. He just says, yeah, the boy's still okay. He's still all right. And then he goes off and does more stuff and then maybe beats some Tusken Raiders with his, yell. I don't know. I just think that's something that the people have been clamoring for, and it's something I want to see. So why not let me see it? Just let me see it, guys. And I think eventually it's something that could very well happen. And this is just my feeling. You guys can share yours on Facebook if you want. I think that would be a really cool miniseries, or like a live action show. And the way I think about this is like Monster of the Week or something, like Mission of the Week or something, not just like bing, bam, boom. Like, I don't necessarily know if it would be like Sherlock style, your hour and a half mini movie. I guess it could be. But I just think you could really expound upon that time and make it neat. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you just do, one quick bing, bam, boom, and you're done. But I do think that this is something that a lot of people would go out for, and I hope that eventually it does come to fruition. Man, but I don't know. But you got to go see that Heroes Fan Productions Kenobi. It ties in pretty much all the movies and like Clone Wars, and it has some emotional stuff around like Satine and whatnot. So something I think everybody should watch because it's just really, really well done. And also, if you haven't seen the Obi-Wan, or I don't remember exactly how it pops up. I think it might be Obi-Wan Remembers. You also need to go watch that too, because that is so good. He's in the hut with Luke, and what about my father? What happened to my father? Or did you know my father? And he does all these flashbacks. It's just so well done. So anyway, couple of things. There's some homework for you. Final topic here to round out our short little podcast: Galaxy's Edge. So when I was at Celebration, I actually did go to the Galaxy's Edge panel. Not because I was particularly excited, but because part of my celebration, my wish list was to go to panels. That was kind of the thing that I wanted to do. So Galaxy's Edge, obviously we all kind of know what Galaxy's Edge is. It's a theme park. And, $1 billion theme park. So some factoids are starting to come out. We had our sort of opening, and they brought in, what was that picture? It was like Billy D, Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford. Wow, I blanked. It's like I love Harrison Ford. And George Lucas, and they did all these pictures and fireworks, and it was so cool and whatever. I would love to go to Galaxy's Edge. I would love to get in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon and just do that. They obviously have some time limits on that. They want people to get that experience, but there's a lot more to this park. However, I think they said 2 of the rides are not open yet, so it's not fully open yet. Now, why they would open without being fully open, I don't know. Maybe, hopefully they get stuff up and running, everything up and running here soon. I don't know. But, oh, man, it's going to be expensive. Oh, so many articles just talking about the expense of everything. I thought it was funny because, I remember, I want to say maybe it was a Rule of 2 podcast on their Facebook page. Make sure to check them out. Good guys. Met them at Celebration. They put together some of the like menus and some of the things, because there's like a restaurant, and then there's like some restaurant that's all plant-based food. And, there's like the bar and everything, all Star Wars themed. And I didn't write it down. The Yub Nub or whatever cocktail, I think, or should have written it down. But it's like, if you get it with the commemorative cup, it's like $42. That cup better get you drunk. Which, at most theme parks, it most certainly doesn't. So, first and foremost, I don't know what you expect. I've been to shows at like small festivals and little venues and everything and paid $10 for a beer. We're not talking about like a pint. We're talking about like maybe a tall boy of like Budweiser or something. So that's pretty common. And especially if you're talking about like commemorative cups, because like when we were at Celebration, the first day we got hungry and we decided to go up to the little cafeteria thing that they had in the venue. And along with like paying for like a, I don't know, $15 cheeseburger and fries or something like that, it was expensive, and a drink. I think I walked out of there and maybe with everything, again, it was like a burger, fries, and a drink, and I think it might have been $20. But the lady at the register was like, well, hey, don't you want a commemorative cup? It's like, no. Well, you can get it filled up. Well, that's true and all, but I don't want to be drinking soda all the time, so no, I'm good. I had always had my backpack, and I'd stash drinks and snacks in my pack, so I didn't have to pay their prices. Because it was ridiculous. There were a couple times we would just get hot dogs because it was the cheapest thing on the floor, and there was still like $7 hot dog. And there were a couple times we were so hungry that it tasted like the greatest thing alive, but still, it is just absolutely nizuts. But complaining about the drinks, it's going to happen. It's a theme park. That's what it is. And they're also not wanting people to be drunk. Let's be honest about it here. Another thing was the lightsabers. So they were talking about $200 lightsabers. So if you want to get like a realistic lightsaber, and you go online and you look around to get like a really nice example, like bare minimum is going to be $200. Now, obviously for your kids, you can get a cheapo lightsaber on Amazon made in Indonesia with like, nothing for, $10 or whatever. But if you want to get like something that you'll remember, I didn't feel that was as unreasonable as people think it is, because you're actually putting it together. And let me pull up a couple of screenshots I took. I thought this was kind of interesting, so I'll read off some of this. Assemble your lightsaber. Meet one of Savi's gatherers outside his workshop, where you choose one of 4 available hilt themes and receive a, oh my god, I don't know how to pronounce that, Cloisonne Cloisonne pin? Just scream at me. To identify your selection, themes include Peace and Justice. Salvage scraps from fallen Jedi temples and crashed starships in these Republic-era designed honor and galaxy's former guardians. The next theme, Power and Control. Originally forged by dark side warriors, this style features rumored remnants from the Sith homeworld and abandoned temples. Elemental nature. I thought this one was interesting. This theme embodies the Force, an energy created by all living beings like Braylark trees, Carthusian whale bones, and Rancor teeth. What? Okay. And then finally, stop it. There we go. Phone freaked out. Protection and defense. Hilt material bears mysterious motifs and inscriptions that reconnect users with the ancient wellspring of the Force. And let's see here. We go on. The Gatherers will now help you select the heart of your lightsaber, the Kyber crystal, which is available in red, blue, green, and violet. Go to the next picture here. Let's see. Next assembling your hilt. Parts will be provided based upon your blah 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 pin. I can't. Oh my goodness! I need some translation. Each box of parts includes one hilt, 4 sleeves. You pick 2. 2 emitters. You pick 1. 2 pummel caps. You pick 1. 2 sets of activation plates and switches. You pick 1 set. Upon hilt completion, the unused parts will be collected by the Gatherers and returned to Sabi's inventory. These are not included with your lightsaber. Okay, finally, Gatherers will masterfully connect your hilt to a 31-inch lightsaber blade, so you're ready for anything the galaxy puts in your path. So it doesn't look like you get to physically assemble it, which is kind of a bummer, but it looks like you have a little bit of control over it. I like these themes. God, which one would I pick? Oh, man, I got to say Peace and Justice sounds pretty darn cool. Yeah, I bet Darth would have to go with Power and Control, though, because he's a Sith. Okay, and then it says, pricing $199.99 per lightsaber plus tax. Get a carrying case. Additional customization items can be purchased at the Den of Antiquities. Okay. Age recommendation 5 and up. Experience is limited to the builder and 1 guest. At least 1 person. The party must be age 4. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Cough break. Excuse me. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, disclaimers. Sounds awesome. But it is an expense, and you're going to be paying for the trip over. Obviously, I'd have to fly there, the hotel, which I read somewhere like base. You're going to be starting something at like $400 or so a night there. Another cough break. Geez, I got to drink some water or something. Quality of these podcasts. This is what you love. But in all seriousness, folks, I think it'd be a great experience. And if it were me, I would definitely be doing that lightsaber build. Oh, there'd be no way I'd take my $200 right now. So anyway, just a little Galaxy's Edge. But yeah, folks. So again, I just wanted to keep this relatively short. I could probably talk a little bit longer, but honestly, it's nicer to have your Sith friend, even though he's a Sith here. Or anybody to talk to. But no, in all seriousness, guys, I definitely appreciate you stopping by for another podcast. I appreciate all the support we've received in the past for our podcast, and it's been a lot of fun just sitting here and yakking Star Wars. Like me and my buddies, back in school, just yakking Star Wars. It's a lot of fun. So anyway, folks, thank you very much for stopping by. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And as always, may the Force be with you.